endorsing him, even some of the people that are against the war now.
I had a lot of pressure to endorse him. Did you? Maybe not as much because you were already kind of ostracized, but they were kind of offering me like favors, bring me to the White House. But
oh yeah, huge. I mean, I came out very early, I think in May or June of 24, saying I wasn't going to vote. And the pressure was enormous. We were ridiculed, me and the Groypers ridiculed and attacked throughout the whole election for that. And we said specifically, we're not voting for Trump because he's going to bring us to war in Iran. And here we are, so.
You know what? I didn't think he was bringing to war with Iran. I did know he was owned by Israel, but I thought it was possible, but I thought it was like 30%, 20%. You know that because you kept saying that. Why
thanks.
You thought he was going to do exactly what they were going to say, or why do you think he was? Because it's so insane to go to war with Iran.
It's totally insane. And it wasn't even on most people's radar. I remember having conversations with people back then and telling them this is a real risk. It's a real concern. And for most normies, they just weren't even thinking about it. And the reason is, you got to remember 2024, this was in the thick of the war in Gaza, as well as the war in Lebanon and the regime change in Syria. That all happened in rapid succession in the spring, summer, and then fall and winter of 2024. And so I remember watching all that heat up, and I always knew, basically since the beginning, that eventually that campaign by Israel would roll into a regime change war in Iran, just based on the rhetoric. They were even broadcasting it very openly at the very beginning, early on. And so I just listened to what Netanyahu said, and I saw that they all coalesced around the Republicans. And when Trump won the nomination, Mary Matelson cut the check for $100 million. And I just sort of saw the vision. Israel's taking it to Iran. They need Trump in position because they need America to help them. And so I didn't know exactly, like you said, it's so shocking that it has happened. I didn't know how or when exactly, but I knew that eventually that was going to be the play. And sure enough, there it went.
Yeah, it's 100% bad for America. I don't see a single good thing. People are dying, getting killed. It's just like hard being a very proud American. I know you are too. It's been hard kind of like spiritually to be that we're the bad guys out there. The first missile strikes targeted an all girls school. It's just been kind of hard coming to terms with this.
Yeah, it is. And I think that in particular, this war makes us feel like we're an evil country and we have an evil leader. And I didn't even feel like that necessarily when the war in Gaza was happening, only because there was some reluctance from the Biden administration to support it. And now that this is full steam ahead in Iran, Trump is leading it. This is our war. This is not like Israel with American support. This is a U.S. war that Israel, of course, dragged us into. But Trump is taking the lead, and it's the deception, it's the flippancy with how he's talking about it. He's being very flippant about it and insincere. It's the brutality and the cruelty of the conflict. And you really feel like we have an evil leader, like a diabolical leader that is just wicked. There doesn't seem to be any grace or charity. I don't see any godliness in Trump anymore. So there is a psychological effect where it feels like we've sort of lost control entirely. There's just not even a semblance of it. It feels like we're a demonic nation right now. So I agree with you. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah, it does. And we were both Trump supporters. We both turned on him, for a lot of people, but doesn't feel like he's the same person. He always had some of these tendencies, but it seems like something's just gone wicked off the deep end, or maybe we missed it before, but it's just truly dark and evil. Like, hopefully he has that deadline tonight where he's saying he's just going to massacre him, basically genocide. I was just before the started reading, maybe they have a deal. I have no idea what's true. I hope he doesn't just start bombing, massacring children, because how can we, be proud Americans? And yeah, I was just in Vietnam. The first time in my life I ever felt like a little weird saying I was American. People looking at you a little different. And I love my country. I am a patriot. People say, oh, I'm disloyal, you're a traitor. Like, no, I'm not a traitor. I'm trying to take my country back. I'm sure you feel the same way.
I do. I love America, and I'm a patriot. And I even, when we talk about the situation in Iran, I said on my show, I'm praying for Iran. I actually want them to prevail in the conflict. But I'm a little conflicted about it because, of course, I don't want Americans to die, and I don't want American soldiers to die in the conflict. And I want America to be a successful and victorious and proud country. However, we are in this position because we clearly have no sovereignty. There is no connection between what the American public wants and what we believe in and what we're actually getting from the White House. It's like the least popular war in modern history. And I don't think anybody believes it's in our interest, even if I'm sure you have some Trump supporters that believe that maybe they trust Trump or they have some confidence in him. There's still a remnant there. I don't know if anybody believes that this has any positives for us, or at the minimum that it's more positive for us than it is for Israel. So that's always the rub. And yeah, so it puts you in a weird position. But I would say that you have to draw a distinction between the regime, which is Trump, and the Trump government, and America, which is the people and the history and the land and all that. I love America. I don't love this regime that's in control right now.
Exactly. They don't represent us. I was actually really surprised to see you praying for Iran, because like the night before I found myself praying for Iran and the soldiers, and I was thinking, oh, this people think this is so insane. And then I saw you admitting that. I was like, wow, it's not something I expected from like a right-wing commentator. They act like you're some evil guy, and you have basic humanity and respect.
Well, I'm a Christian. We don't want to see innocent people die. And I'm a huge believer in that. And, in as much as we have views about racial politics or about Jews, this is just a reflection of how people get along. But, I don't believe under any circumstances we should be killing a civilization. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, and they're not some backwards people. I know a lot of Iranians. They're not these like backwards cave people like they act like they are. It's like, they're some of the nicest, friendly people I've been around. So to treat them, they dehumanize them. They dehumanize the Gazans, the Lebanon. And it's just been a tough year spiritually, I think, for a lot of people, like a spiritual battle in this country. I used to be anti-religion, but it's pushed me towards God. And you realize if there's a devil, there has to be a God.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it shocks your conscience. It awakens you to the fact that we do have written on our hearts a sense of right and wrong and good and evil. Everybody knows it. Everybody's born with it. Everybody has it. It's just that over time, you get desensitized, or you learn not to listen to it, or you turn it off. But when you see the most absolute heinous evil, which is what this is, it's just bloodthirsty, like you're talking about, genocide, mass murder, I think that awakens you to the fact that we're moral beings. We live in a moral universe. We're meant to tell the truth and fight for what's right. People have dignity, and when they lose their dignity, when they're dehumanized so they could be killed, we recognize intrinsically there's something very wrong. Maybe there's something that's the ultimate evil. So I think there's a lot of truth in what you just said.
Yeah, I'm a father. I have children. So when I see these children being slaughtered, it just hurts. I had to stop going to those Telegram channels, looking at that stuff. I realized it was like, I'm like a strong guy, but it was messing me up mentally, looking at too much of this stuff. I'm like, I got to stop looking. And so I can't imagine what they've suffered through, the Palestinian people. It's just bizarre watching our country turn evil. I don't know. How do we turn it around?
I don't know. I
was thinking about running for office, and I'm like, I started looking at trying to fix the problems. And I'm like, I don't even know what could be done.
I don't think there's anything that can be done. I think that the country needs a reckoning is what has to happen. The country is wicked and decadent and arrogant. And what you see throughout the Bible, ironically, in the context of Israel, is that when the people become proud and when they don't listen to God, God punishes them. God humbles them. And I don't know that it necessarily works exactly the same way, but I think we tend to find that when people become arrogant, there's that saying, pride goes before the fall. They have a habit of inviting and attracting ruin and destruction. And this country has had opportunities, I think, to do the right thing, and people are not stepping up to the plate. People are not doing the right thing. And so we will be humbled. And I think that it's incumbent on the good people to try to do what we can. All we're called to do as Christians and as decent people, it's not that we're supposed to change the outcome or fix America. That's up to God. The world is in God's hands. All any one of us can do is take accountability for ourselves every day, one day at a time, telling the truth, trying to do the right thing, treating each other with charity and compassion and gentleness and mercy. That's all anybody can do. And all anybody can do is try to reflect on their own actions. Am I part of the solution, or am I part of the problem? Are we going to be part of the part of this generation that will inherit this fallen country and try to put it back together? Or are we going to be destroying it? And unfortunately, a lot of people want to be a part of the problem.
Yeah, I'm going to at least try, it's like, I'm going to at least try. I felt like a calling, maybe from God. You probably felt that, I don't know, God, whatever it is, I felt like I had to speak up. People were trying to talk me out of it when I first started speaking up. I mean, you obviously know how crazy it was because you were long before me, the amount of ostracization you've had, but I just felt like I had a moral obligation to do the right thing and speak up and try to push the country and the world towards a better place.
Yeah, for me, it was just, I was always into politics. I was always obsessed with it. And I just went where the truth is. And it was very obvious as an 18-year-old, like they're not hiding it, that you have this subversive influence in the country. And if you just look at it long enough, you'll see it. And for me, it was just never a question. It was always whether we were going to tell the truth or whether I was going to tell the truth and face the consequences, or you knowingly lie so that you can make money, so you could have platform access. And I could just never live like that. So for me, it was just not even really a question. It was, I tell the truth. I'm in politics. I want to know the truth, share it. And if that's what the truth is, so be it. And you get persecuted. That's the story of humanity.
Yeah. Oh, I want to get some super chats, but I'll read those at the end. We got like 1 hour because Nick's got a tight time schedule. Last 10 minutes to read super chats so we don't like break the flow. But just, back to the thing, though. It's such a young age, 18 years old. I couldn't have sacrificed like you did. The way you were ostracized, that's tough. I don't think people understand. Most people following you now don't understand what you went through. Like you lost your banking. I was talking to Kick, arguing with them. Like, why aren't you paying Nick? And then I realized the payment processors are like, won't pay you. It's not even like you got a payment processor. It's like, what?
Well, I love your guy said, can I say this? What he said to you about it?
Sure. Yeah.
He says, what did he say? He said that I should squash the beef or something.
Payment processor. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He was trying to help, but just squash the beef with the payment processors. People don't understand.
I'm banned on Stripe, which is why I can't get paid on Kick. And they go, well, he just needs to sort it out with Stripe. It's like, I wish I could have payment processing and banking, but I can't. So yeah, it totally sucks.
Oh, you want to criticize the Jews? We'll shut your bank down. Did you see Ye just got kicked out of, I don't know exactly what, I saw the headline, some kind of music thing kicked him out of, I don't know if it's a concert or what it was. And he even apologized. They don't accept your apology.
No, they banned him from the whole country. They banned him from the UK.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, so he was supposed to be the headlining act at this music festival in the UK. And what happened is, first, all the sponsors pulled out. So all the people putting up the money for it said, unless you cancel on him, we're not giving you money. So all the sponsors pulled out. And the head of the festival actually stuck by Ye and said, well, we're going on with the show regardless. We don't need the sponsors because we believe in free speech. Well, then the government intervened, and the government said, well, we don't believe it's conducive to the public good to let Ye go to the concert, so they're not even going to let him into the country. And this is because the Jewish deputies, I guess they lobbied the government, they lobbied the prime minister to make this decision. I don't know exactly how it works there. And you're right, so he apologized to a rabbi. Then he took out a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal, which was a one-page apology. Then, as all this was happening, he released another apology. He sent to the, I don't know if it was this Jewish group in the UK. He said, hey, I just want to come and share my music. It's all about love and unity, and I'll come meet with the Jews if you'll just let me perform. And they told him, they said, well, you can come and apologize to us, but you can't perform. They said, if you want to come and make amends, we'll let you do that, but we won't let you perform here. And then the government kicked him out. So it just goes to show, you know, people think they're going to say what they need to say, swallow their pride, make their apology, then they're going to get put back in business. It's not like that. The Jews want you to fundamentally submit. They want their humiliation ritual, they want their apology, they want their penance, and they want it in perpetuity. They don't just want it once or twice. They need to know they gotcha. And if they don't gotcha, then you can't play. You're not in business anymore. And I don't know if there's a clearer example of how that works than what just happened this week.
No, that's so wrong. And yeah, he's a guy I just really like for some reason. I know you do too. Just something about him is just, he's so unique, such a great artist, such a, a genius in a weird sort of way. And it just sucks seeing them do that to him. I wish he wouldn't apologize, but I understand he probably wanted his life back. I think they took his kids away. I don't know the details behind that, but that's just, like I said, the father, that's the most evil thing. Like in the song, he's like, what's he say? You took my kids' bank account, so I became a Nazi. Like he tells you why. It wasn't like out of nowhere that he decided to, he didn't just randomly come anti-Semitic. You take your kids' and bank account away, what are you supposed to do? I mean, more than anyone, the bank situation. I'm lucky. I'm one of the first generations of people that started speaking up that like didn't use bank accounts. I mean, I still could, but like pretty much everyone, like you, Ryan Dawson, all the people before would get their bank accounts X'd out. Like what else? You got blocked out of pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, Airbnb, banks, payment processors, all the social platforms, Spotify, Apple. It's literally like everything you can think of. I actually know of somebody that got banned on Claude recently on Anthropic.
What's Claude? What is it?
It's one of the AI. It's one of the AI models.
Yeah. But you
it's one of the big ones.
Rape a girl, like beat a woman, and it's all fine. But you question Jewish power. We don't have it. Oh, you say we do. We're gonna cancel everything. It's just insane. No other group could do that. You know, it's funny. Like black people, you never see black people going and apologizing to priests, but they go begging to rabbis. They want the humiliation ritual. They did that to a basketball player. He just said read a book, and he had to go. I think he gave like a
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, and then he had to go apologize to rabbis. I just couldn't do it. I mean, you obviously either. It's like I just couldn't do it. They're not going to forgive you anyways. They just want to humiliate you over and over and over. So switching up a little bit, like I met you a few years ago, you had a massive hardcore following, but it was small. Like people loved you. It was a small hardcore group. You've transcended into mainstream celebrity. Like, what's that like?
Well, it's very strange. It's very strange because, like you said, I had been doing this for a long time and nobody really knew me. I was very niche. And now all of a sudden, I'm literally in just the past like 9 months, I get recognized everywhere I go. Every time I go out to eat, every time I go to the mall or the airport, anywhere I get recognized. And it's always positive because even when people did recognize me before, they hated me because they thought, oh, there's that white supremacist Nazi. Let's go spit in his food. Let's go attack him in public. Now people come up and they're like, oh, I'm a huge fan. I want a picture. Oh, my friend loves you. They got the merch on, whatever. So it's very strange. And it's a little bit disconcerting, though, because I'm a very private person. I like to be very discreet when I move around in the world. And now it almost makes you paranoid. And I'm already a paranoid, not very trusting person. But now the new thing is I go to the airport and people will be there waiting at the airport. They know my flight information and they're there waiting at the gate or at the security checkpoint to get me to sign an autograph. And, you know, and I never do it. I never sign the stuff. And people say, well, you're an asshole, because people come up and say, can you sign this? I drove a long way. And I go, no. But the reason why is because what they're implicitly saying is like, we know all your movements. We know where you're going to be. We know when you're going to be there. We know where you're going. And, you know, so I understand why a lot of people think that's like an innocent little thing. Hey, what's the big problem? I just wanted my hat signed. But for someone like me, it's like, well, I don't want people to know where I'm going and where I am. And, you know, I don't want to have people breathing down my neck like that. I like to move through my life. So there's some aspects of it that are a little bit, like I said, it's a little uncomfortable and disconcerting, but I guess that's part of the job.
Well, someone just tried to assassinate you, and that should have been a bigger story. That kind of got, like, literally someone came to your door and tried to kill you, had killed several people. That should have been a bigger story, in my opinion.
Yeah, you think? And they denied it. They denied it. Then they went on TV and they said, oh, well, he alleged that someone tried to kill him. It's like the guy murdered 3 people, then drove 3 hours to my front door and got out with a loaded gun in his hand, knocking on the door, yelling, where's Nick? And people go, I alleged he tried to kill me. Yeah, right.
There to kill you. And that was after that viral tweet of, what was it? Your body, my choice.
Yeah.
Oh, I laugh so hard. People don't get it's like a joke. It's
yeah, they didn't get a lot of that was like, it's so weird too, because that happened right before I blew up. So I went from everyone hating me, like literally everybody
in the country for a minute.
Every woman in particular hating me in the whole country. Like my lawyer was like, my daughter told me, you represent that asshole. I can't believe, like literally daughters and girlfriends of wives of every man I knew was like, I fucking hate that guy. And then a year later, I'm like, mainstream is so weird.
Yeah, I see liberals posting your stuff now. That's so bizarre to me. These people that just hated you before. Because when I first met you, people hated you. People were like, you shouldn't be talking to that guy. He's a racist. But they took your voice. They took your voice away, and then they told us who you were. Because I believe in a lot too. That must suck to have your voice taken away. You were banned from everything, so you can't speak, and they just tell you this guy's bad.
Yeah, and that's, it's very strategic in that way because it's true. They take your platform and then they, on Twitter and everything, on the news, then they tell you who you are and they tell everybody, so this guy's a self-avowed Nazi, what, blah, blah, whatever. And you have no right of reply. You don't get your day in court. In America, you're innocent till proven guilty. You get to make your case before a jury of your peers. But the thing about reputational destruction is you don't get a fair hearing like that. They have the bigger megaphone because they're protected by government and they are institutional and they have the money. And if they don't like you, they squelch you, shut you down. They don't engage with you deliberately. They won't debate you. There's no engagement. And then they just tell everybody, hey, fuck this guy. This guy's the worst person ever. And it's life ruining. So yeah, you're right. It's pretty tough.
You had your life destroyed for a lot of years, pretty much. I wouldn't say destroyed, but kind of you were living tough. That's why I had so much respect for you. What you went through, people don't understand. You were completely ostracized, and at a young age, just cut off from the world. How did you make money without banking and stuff? You couldn't even sell merch, could you?
So, we had a time where we always had super chats. So I was always able to make money through super chats on my show. But it was crazy the way they did it. They had a payment processor in like another country, and they charged us a very high processing fee. So even when I was banned from everything, I still had that source of income. But I wasn't able to sell merch. I had to use cryptocurrency only up until very recently. And I couldn't do subscriptions. I had no sponsors. So for a time, and then as far as banking was concerned, I would just have to keep making new bank accounts. I would go to the bank, make an account. They would catch on. They'd ban me. I'd go to a different bank, move my money out, move all my recurring payments. I'd be there for a few months, then I'd get banned. And so I think I went through 6 or 7 bank accounts before finally I was able to land at one that didn't ban me. And that was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So it's a trip. I mean, you got to find a workaround for literally fucking everything because they don't make it easy.
And shout out to the Groypers for helping support you. We've had an on and off relationship, but overall I love them. They're like such a loyal, good group to you. I think I got to unblock a bunch of them because I blocked a ton of them when we were fighting. So I'm like, you know what? This is helping instigate the problems between us.
It happens. Yeah. They're rabid, No,
I respect them. They love you. That's why. So they're like, they're going after me. And I understand that. I don't hold anything. That's why I need to go through and unblock a bunch of them, I think.
Yeah.
Start attacking me again. Whatever.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I guess Dan Bilzerian is running against Randy Fine. That's going to be the most interesting. Yeah, I think he has to move to Florida. He's trying to get this all set up, kind of spontaneous. But that's such a wild, interesting race of Dan's a little crazy-ish, I love Dan, great friend, but he's extreme. Even me and you are like, Dan. And Randy Fine is the most insane, disgusting person in Congress. What do you think of that race?
Well, I don't know the particulars of that district, but it's Southern Florida. So the problem with Southern Florida is it's all Jews. And so if you have, and that's not like that's a problem, but if you have a Jewish electorate, that's why they're going to elect a radical pro-Israel Jew as their congressman. So I'll have to look at it. Obviously, I support Dan. I'd prefer Dan in Congress over Randy Fine. But the problem is that all the people in the administration that are pro-Israel, they're pro-Israel because they all came from Florida. Trump's chief of staff is Susie Wiles. She's a Florida lobbyist. She ran the state of Florida for Trump in 2016 for the campaign. And when you're the chief of staff, you put together the cabinet. So who did she pick? Well, she picked Marco Rubio and she picked Mike Waltz. She picked Pam Bondi. What do they have in common? They're all from Florida. They're all from Florida politics. And how do you advance in Florida politics? Well, you have to go for the big Florida donors, which is all the Jewish money, because South Florida is one of the big epicenters of Jewish power in America. So it's no coincidence that it's like this. And so that's why I think Dan would probably have a better shot running in a different district, but I can see why he's doing it.
Well, I looked at it as older people too, the boomers. That's the worst people. So I don't know if he's committed already or not. I mean, he said it, but it might be smarter to run like in Vegas or something, because the boomers are the hardest demographic for Dan to reach. The young people are going to love Dan. Dan could also rally some of the Democrats, but you can't vote. If you're a registered Democrat, you can't vote for him in the primary. So
right.
It's a tough race, but I think, I think he's still doing it. We'll see. if I'll rally behind him and support him, whatever he does. So, back to the administration, it's just full of fucking lunatics. What do you think of Pete, the Secretary of War? This guy to me seems completely out of his mind.
Oh, he's an idiot. He's a complete idiot. And anybody that I talk to from the administration says he's a complete knucklehead. He's just a nothing. Because the thing about the national security apparatus is you can actually identify what faction the different people are a part of, whether they're more neocon or whether they're prioritizers or restrainers or the big China hawks or the big Russia hawks. You can usually identify their ideological alignment and create a profile. But this guy, Pete Hegseth, he's just a complete idiot. And actually what people say is he might even be compromised. There's some rumors that his best friend is in the admin blackmailing him. And so I've heard not a lot of great things about him, that he's just kind of an ideological nothing, not very bright. And the only information we have about him as far as his leanings go is that he is one of these fanatical evangelicals with all the tattoos, and he was part of this nonprofit 10 years ago talking about we need to rebuild the third temple and bring about the eschaton. So if we know anything about him, if he has an ideological leaning or a flavor, he is one of these radical, fanatical dispensationalists. He also goes to the church of Doug Wilson. Doug Wilson is a theonomist. I believe he's one of these Reformed preachers. He's one of these psycho Protestants, and this guy has been in bed with the Jews. He's building this huge complex in Idaho out of nowhere. Apparently got a ton of money, very conspicuous, building this huge facility, and all of a sudden now he's in bed with all these Claremontsters and Straussians and Zionists and very pro-Jewish. And he said in an interview, I think a week or two ago, he would ban public displays of the Catholic faith even. So not just ban Islam, but ban Catholicism, because as Protestants, they want Noahide laws. They have this within Christianity, they have like a Jewish supremacist view of their own religion. And Pete Hegseth goes to Doug Wilson's church. So this guy's pretty fucked up. I mean, this is not a good guy.
Yeah, he seems like a complete lunatic and evil to me. He just seems like a nasty and dumb. If you're evil and dumb, that's a bad mix. And just everyone in the Trump administration, they're these crazy, fanatical Israel, lots of them Zionists, like his spiritual leader, what's the girl, Paula? She was acting like he was like Jesus. That was disgusting. And Trump starting to believe it. He thinks he's like Cyrus or whatever, the king, the Jewish, Jewish Messiah.
Yes, exactly. Cyrus, they believe he's the Messiah. And Tucker was hinting at this. He says, maybe, because all those people in the admin believe it, he goes, maybe Trump has been convinced that he is appointed to a higher office. Like, he's not just the president, but he's like the king of Israel, or he's like you said, he's the Messiah. Like, who knows what they've been telling him and what he believes. And I think there's some credence to that. I don't think that Trump is a believer, but the people around him are, and they manipulate him and influence him a lot. So it is very disturbing, and I don't like it.
Yeah, do you think, I hear Trump gets his information only from the yes men around him. He probably goes on Truth Social to watch people kiss his ass. Like, I don't think he's getting much real information. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's true. That was a big thing. Taking him off of Twitter was a huge part, in my opinion, of his decline.
Reactions now, exactly. He can't see what the people are saying, so he's out of touch. Truth Social probably bans anyone that criticizes Trump. It's all the trust the plan.
Right.
We're fine paying $10 gas.
Well, because back in the old days, Twitter was such a huge part of his appeal. People don't even remember, but like 10 years ago, it was such a novelty.
Awesome. He was funny. Trump was hilarious. He was fun. MAGA's this dying, pathetic crowd now. It's just dumb people, Jewish people, and paid influencers. It's sad. I almost feel bad for him.
But back then, that was like, it wasn't just that he was funny. Obviously, it was very pithy, and that was part of the appeal. But specifically, they said he's on Twitter, and that is how he cuts through these layers of of, you could say, moderation, or if there was ever an attempt to control him by limiting his information diet with consultants or specialists or bureaucracy, people would always say, well, Trump is on Twitter with us. Like, he's just liking and retweeting stuff. He sees what people are saying. And so it was actually a two-way platform. That was Trump's ability to bypass the media. He could get his message past the media, and also we could get through to him because he was reading what we were saying. Now that he's on True Social, he's cloistered. And not only that, but the chief of staff and the body aides, all the other personnel, they heavily control who he sees, who he talks to, what he sees on the internet, the news clippings. And so over time, you're right, he's just totally divorced from reality and from public opinion, even his own supporters. And like you said, now it's just True Social. It's like the cat turd amen choir. Anything he says, they're going to support it no matter what. So it's no wonder that he's totally deranged.
Yeah, he said Jared told him if he bombed him, the people were going to come up and welcome him as liberators. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, I trust Jared.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's true or not, but the Epstein files, there was a report. It wasn't like a confirmed one. It was one of those ones that was like a tip that said, oh, Jared's controlling the presidency through Javad Lubavitch. It's like, well, it seems very possible.
He was. I mean, and people that were around in the first term know Jared Kushner was running everything. Who negotiated the USMCA from NAFTA? Jared Kushner. Who brokered the end to the government shutdown after the midterms? Jared Kushner. Who facilitated the Abraham Accords? Jared Kushner. He was a huge part of the first admin, and he's back in the second admin. Who gave Iran the ultimatum in the middle of February? Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff.
Yeah,
so he's
insane.
playing.
That's insane. There are two people with allegiance to Israel. They sent two people with allegiance to Israel to go negotiate a deal with Iran. And I hear they were meeting all the demands still, and Trump just bombed them in the middle of a negotiation. Just sick.
Yeah.
That's why Iran doesn't want to negotiate.
Exactly. And that's always the rub, is you think you're getting Trump, but in reality, you're getting all these people behind him. You're getting the Kushner, you're getting the Howard Lutnick, the Steve Witkoff, you're getting all these other elements behind the scenes. And, whether Epstein, whether that was a real tip or he's just talking shit on email, it's true. I mean, that's 100% how it works.
It's true. Or that one, I looked at that one like, well, it's true, regardless of how credible that source is. So he's gotten himself in such a mess. Because if he just walks away, we lose the war. It's embarrassing, but it obviously would be better for America. But if he stays in there, America's going to suffer. People are going to have a hard time paying for gas. I've had 3 people this week tell me they can't afford gas. So these are things that these elites don't think about. People are struggling. What's Trump's move?
Well, here's the thing. Unfortunately, and people have a hard time with this, once he bombed Iran, things have changed now. It's different now. Before you drop the bombs, you could do any number of things. But now that Iran has closed off the strait, now that we have killed the supreme leader, it's just different now. And Trump, let's just be realistic, he just doesn't have as many options as he did a few weeks ago. So, I say this and other people say we should just pack it up and leave. Well, you can't really do that. If we're being realistic and not, in fantasy land where there's no repercussions for our actions, you can't just leave. Why?
It's a mess now.
If you just leave, now we have no deterrence. Now we have no credibility. How are we going to get a deal in Ukraine? How are we going to deter China in Taiwan? How are we going to facilitate whatever we're doing in Venezuela and Cuba? We have no credibility. So if we just pack it up and leave, Iran now controls the Strait of Hormuz. This is a catastrophe. They have reestablished deterrence. We can realistically not go back and attack them at any point. So they're emboldened. You could say they're more hardline and more defiant than ever. This is just like infinitely worse than before. And we've lost deterrence for all of these other conflicts that we're trying to facilitate elsewhere. So I think if you're Trump, and this has been my forecast for the past few weeks, he is looking for an opportunity to get some kind of a victory so that we can find the off-ramp. And so maybe that means we take one of the islands. Maybe it can be symbolic. It can be minor. We just need to notch a victory, get Iran to agree to some terms so that we can leave without a complete humiliation. And that seems to be the best option. right now. If you're being realistic, if you're the president, unfortunately, though, I just don't see how you're going to do that because we are losing and we don't have any of the cards. And any way that we can escalate, it will be delivered right back to us in kind. You know, if we bomb Iran's infrastructure, they hit the Gulf. We bomb their desalination power plants, they do it to Saudi Arabia. So there just seems to be sparingly little we can do to save face. And so you just wonder what kind of operation they can cook up that can thread the needle like that and get us out of here.
Yeah, I was thinking if I was his advisor, how would I advise him to get out of this mess? And I didn't have any good answers. I was just pondering, being like, wow, like every option's bad, you know? I wish you would just apologize, but that obviously isn't going to happen. Be like, sorry, guys. Oops.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Realistically, actually, let me amend what I just said. If you really got to the fundamentals, the way that you end the conflict is you put Israel in their place. If you're Trump and you're looking at the set of options before you right now, maybe you'd say escalate to de-escalate. I would probably agree that's really all you can do. But if you really want to solve this, do you know what Iran is saying? Iran is saying, we don't want a truce. We don't want a ceasefire. Why? Well, obviously they want some form of a truce. What they don't want is a 30-day reprieve for Israel and the U.S. to replenish their munition stores and then launch another attack because Iran has the advantage. So what Iran is saying is, we want a permanent end to the fighting. We want confidence you're not going to do this again. Well, what is driving the conflict between us and Iran is Israel. So if you want to give Iran assurances and open up the strait, the road to that runs through Israel. You have to break the back of Israel so that they don't continue egging this on and provoking Iran. Only then can you give the assurances necessary to Iran to have a permanent cessation of hostilities. If you want to end the fighting, that's what you do, and we solve it tomorrow. But it's just that Washington is literally not able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's very important to point out that too. Like you said, Iran is also in a very tough situation. They can't just, sign a ceasefire or we're going to come in and attack them again. We keep doing it. We've been humiliating them for years. They have to make it where we're scared to want to go to war with them again. They have to
exactly.
People thought they're going to stop right away. I'm like, no, they have no choice but to go out, either die or try. And they're doing better than I thought. They're doing pretty well. Like, I don't know there was the rescue mission. Some people say they think that was a failed ground invasion. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I guess they tried I guess it was 100 and something miles away from where the crash was.
Yeah, I mean,
cargo jets. I don't really know much about that. So.
Yeah, me neither. And there's really no way to know because there's so much propaganda. But I mean, there's some credible speculation based on the losses that were suffered. We lost a lot of equipment, and people also said that the C-130 cargo transport aircraft, they had to be scuttled. Apparently, they were flown in to bring a bunch of special operators to rescue the pilots. They were hit. The planes were hit and could not be flown back out. So we had to scuttle them. We had to destroy them to prevent them from falling into the hands of the Iranians. Well, those C-130s were closer to Isfahan, which is where the highly enriched uranium is buried, than they were to where the pilots allegedly went down in the mountain ridges, and like 5 times closer to Isfahan than where the pilots were. So that's where some of the speculation comes from.
Yeah, I think it's through mountains too. So it seems unlikely that some pilot went like 100 miles through mountains in Iran. Well, I say it's a mountainous region. You can't just invade these with a ground invasion. If we send ground troops in for a ground invasion, there's thousands, maybe tens of thousands of Americans might die. And we just don't have the stomach. The country's already against it. It would turn so hard against it. So I think Trump knows this and wants an off ramp, like you said, but he wants to be able to say some kind of victory. Iran doesn't want to give him anything. I don't know. I really hope they negotiate something before tonight because he's threatening just pure evil.
I hope so too, but I don't see how it happens because Iran keeps saying we're not going to accept a ceasefire. And what they are after then is like these big concessions. They want America to give them reparations, give them the strait, shut down all their bases. So as of yesterday, Iran said, we just don't even want to talk anymore. Now they're saying, well, a deal is about to happen tonight. And what they're saying is it's just going to be an extension of the deadline by 2 weeks. So they could really get down to brass tacks and iron out a deal. I don't know how much I believe that, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm just going to pray for a deal. So I don't want Americans to die. I don't want Iranians to die. I don't want our economy to a tank. There's just literally nothing good. In my view, you probably agree, not a single good thing from America. It's also a little humiliating. Like, we disagreed on the Venezuela operation, but it was impressive. It made America look mighty, unstoppable. This has embarrassed us. Our
Yeah, well,
military doesn't look invincible anymore.
You're right. And it's a perfect contrast because you look at the Venezuela operation, it was decisive, it was quick, we had a stated objective, we completed it, we didn't lose any lives, it didn't cost any money, we got what we wanted, it was in our region, you could articulate the benefits for America. None of that can be said about this. No clear objectives, not competent, not decisive, taking way too long, taking the economy. It's all the way over there. No benefits. People are dying. Hundreds are injured. It's like, so yeah, I know we disagreed, but at the minimum, you could say a case could be made that Venezuela is not Iran. Like there were some benefits that could have accrued. This is just a complete disaster, unmitigated catastrophe, and deeply humiliating because we just look like a joke.
It's been so humiliating for as Americans, humiliated our country. I think Trump got overconfident from that and was like, yeah, we could do this. And I heard there was reports of like CIA and stuff saying like, hey, we don't think this is, they're not going to have a revolution after this, but Trump just didn't listen. Didn't only a few of them like secretly negotiated it? I think it was like I don't know who it was. It was like Mark Rubio. They didn't even tell very many people launched it. There's all the firing of the military generals. I think it's people that aren't wanting to do the war. Do you have any insight at why they're firing all these generals?
Yeah, the New York Times said today that when the decision was made to launch the war, it was because of this big push by the Israelis in the middle of February. And they said that the Israelis basically misrepresented this. They told Trump that Iran was going to undergo an uprising and we would easily prevent them from taking the strait, destroy all their missiles, all these things that have not happened. Like Iran did close the strait. We can't destroy all their missiles, and they didn't have an uprising. The Israelis said all that would be easy, and they said that every American general warned Trump that this would happen. Every American general said, you're not going to get regime change. They're going to close the strait. We're not going to be able to destroy all their missiles. Trump ignored all of them. And this is true. I think you know this is true because in the weeks leading up to the war, I remember specifically the generals were planting stories in the papers, like in the Washington Post, saying, we do not believe in this. There is no decisive strike. We don't support it. This is going to be a disaster. So from inside the regime, they were telegraphing this isn't going to work. It was almost like an SOS. So, and I imagine that generals are being fired because they're not giving Trump the options that he wants, which is he wants to get the highly enriched uranium. He wants to invade Karg Island. Maybe they're talking about a tactical nuke. Who knows? Anything is possible right now.
That would be sick, but it is possible. I mean, that would be truly sick, but it is possible.
It's a non-zero chance. I wouldn't say it's high, but I would say it's a non-zero chance.
I would agree, but this is get sick thinking about if America would do that. It's like we're the bad guys in the situation, and unfortunately, we're probably not going to change course for a while. But hopefully, we're wrong, and he'll get a deal tonight, and everything goes good. So, what do you have next? When I first met you, you were toxic. I remember, like, let me get you on a couple of podcasts. I called 10 of my friends, only Hodgkins, Matt Spectrum. They're the only people that have the balls to talk to you. I'm not going to say any names, but everyone's like, no one would have anything to do with you. Now people are constantly hitting me up. I'm like, dude, I'm not his booking agent. Always, I hate it a couple times. I usually don't even respond because you're not big enough podcast. I'm just constantly being like, can you get a Nick on my show? Can you get Nick on my show? You're like the most popular guy. Everyone wants you now. That must feel a little weird.
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, it's I try to do as much as I can, or at least I was last year. Now I'm trying to be a little more mellow. Honestly, I feel I have a lot of plans and I have a lot of ideas for where I want to take everything. And I'm working on some things with my nonprofit. But I have to tell you, I feel very demoralized lately. I know I need to overcome that. People don't want to hear that if they consider me a leader or the leader, but it's hard not to get demoralized when you see that what we're doing seems to almost have no effect on the outcomes. You know, it's hard to imagine that Trump got elected and
more, but it's not. They don't listen to anything. They're just saying fuck you to all of us. So it's like, thanks to like you putting all this work in, coming in, we completely changed the whole people like don't support Israel anymore, but it doesn't matter.
Well, and I would say adding on to it, because I was about to say what you just said, but to take it a step further, it's even the people that are Israel critical or know the relevant facts, even they are just getting tricked all the time. Even they are being misled all the time. Yeah, so you just say, at what point do you realize we're kind of cooked and maybe it needs to get worse before it gets better? Not to sound like an accelerationist, but timing is everything, and sometimes it's just not the right time. So you say, maybe we got to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little demoralized as well. It sucks, but the country's not heading the right direction. Almost 40 trillion in debt. That's like, no one ever talks about that. That's not a good thing. I don't think people understand, like, that's going to cause inflation, I would think, because what do they got to do? They got to print more money. The interest is going to keep going up. And it comes to some point, what do? The country just goes bankrupt.
Well, yeah.
Trying to bankrupt the country.
There's some people. I remember my government teacher in high school was like, well, the debt can be as high as we want it to be. That doesn't matter. There's some people that promulgate this modern monetary theory where they say the debt doesn't matter. But it's like, okay, interest rates are going up. Yep. We have $40 trillion debt. How do you think we're going to service that debt with high interest rates? Eventually we're going to be paying more in interest on the debt than our military cost, than our entitlements cost. And you just get buried alive in this stuff. So there is a limit. And then you have the de-dollarization, which is overstated, but gradually there is going to be less and less demand for the US dollar. So our borrowing potential is not unlimited. It's constrained by demand and it's constrained by interest to service the debt. So yeah, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how any of these things are going to get solved anytime soon.
Yeah. And I'm skeptical of the stock market, Bitcoin, and the real estate market right now. And the dollar's going down. So it's like, I've worked hard to make money in my life. I'm looking, everything could just like fall apart. You start being like, damn, it's, I don't know where. Let me go through and read a few of these super chats.
Oh, great.
Yeah. You can talk to my audience if you want, Nick.
For sure, yeah.
If you have very many. Your super chat. I love the super chats on your show. I just watch clips. Sometimes people post it. You're just going off on your fans. It's pretty hilarious.
I hate them, but it's okay. But that's all right.
I was just saying, I told you right before, because like, it'd be hilarious if you didn't show today and like, gotcha, bitch. Yeah. I would have had you just laugh.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. What's this guy say? Topic suggestions. Oh, he's giving us topic suggestions.
Oh.
Let's see what he's got. Potential nuke drop in the future as early as tonight. Nah, not tonight. Well, I hope not tonight. Trump impeachment. That's interesting because there hasn't been that big. I think there's finally starting to be a call of impeachment, but even the Democrats were mostly silent until the last couple of days. It just shows you they're all controlled. The two-party system's almost a bullshit. So anything else in there? He has a lot of topics for us. This guy, like,
oh wow,
I'm not hire or miss my. Among those who are genuinely America first, God bless you, gentlemen. Well, thank you. So yeah, we kind of talked about the nuke already. He said potential deny. I think I would be shocked. You never know with Trump, though. Anything's possible with Trump.
Yeah, right? I think he. I've said this for a long time. I have a suspicion that he might want to do that, but it just seems too radical even for him. But I don't know that I'd rule it out now.
Yeah, I don't even know how would we react as a country if we did. It's like, what do we even do? That's why it's been so demoralizing, because I think, what are our next steps? And I don't have a good answer for that. If you get some good answers, let me know. Give me a call and we can brainstorm some ideas, because I'm I think it sounds like you're in the same position as me, being like, what are the next steps? So I thought the information war was going to be like, oh, that'll solve it. It's not looking like it. Have you considered inviting Joseph Atwill, author of Caesar's Messiah, onto your show? I will keep super chatting this request. I think that's for me, not you. I don't know who that is. You know who that is?
I do not know.
Well, I will look him up. I don't know who it is, but I'll look him up. What do we have? I guess the guy just sent a gift. Thank you. The world didn't deserve. I don't understand what that is. I don't know if it's shit talking, so I'm not going to read it. People talk shit. Judah received 30 pieces of silver from AIPAC. Judas.
So true.
Thoughts on the ceasefire announcement? Just announced, but I guess they
was it?
That. That's what this guy said. Do you trust Trump though? I don't know. Was
it actually announced or? Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is breaking. The U.S. and Iran reached an 11th hour ceasefire on Tuesday evening, hours after Trump threatened to start wiping out a whole civilization. Agreement was announced by Trump on social media hours after Pakistan urged Trump to stand down. Let me see what his post says.
See what Trump tweets about it? His psycho deranged tweets.
Yeah, we literally have to go to
Not a very
Truth
good
Social.
leader. Yeah, or Truth Social.
Here we go. Okay, let me read it to you. So it says, based on conversation with the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, wherein they requested I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran, and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to complete, immediate, and safe opening of the strait. Oh, subject to Iran opening up the strait, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, it's not even a real fucking, it's just a joke, right? That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, it doesn't sound like Iran agreed to it.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me too, unless I was misunderstanding that. It sounds like he's just saying it. Let's just tell Trump he won. Let's just tell Trump he won. They can leave the strait open.
Yeah, that's it. I don't even, I mean, we'll have to I'll look at that before my show tonight, but that doesn't even sound like Iran agreed to it. It sounds
it didn't sound like that either. That's exactly my take. He's fighting a war to open the strait that was already open.
Yeah,
Genius.
right. Okay, he says, they need to open up the strait. It's like, well, they haven't. So I don't, and he says we're going to hold off for 2 weeks. It's like, well, why do we need to wait 2 weeks if they opened up the strait? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Trust the plan.
Right.
8D chess, whatever it is.
Yeah.
At this point, with the war going so badly, they have to false flag nuke the U.S. or Europe to say, see, we told you Iran is going to use the nukes. I don't think they would go that far, but anything's possible.
Yeah, I doubt it.
A lot of things I didn't think. I remember I woke up when we were bombing Iran. I was like, wait, we really did this? And
yeah.
Why are you and Sneeko always fighting?
I don't know, man. He's a little, well, you know what? I just want us to not fight. I love Sneeko. He's my homeboy.
Yeah, he's awesome. Though the funny, I guess, tell the story of when I got in a fight. I'm not like a druggie, but someone was like swearing how great ketamine is. And I'm like, oh, I do this tiny little thing. And I kind of forgot. Sneeko, is he calling? So I grabbed him like, oh, yeah, what up, Sneeko? He's like, oh, so he did tell me he was on there, to be fair. And we started chatting. And that's when I talked shit about the sweater and stuff. And I hung the phone. I'm like, oh shit, I realized how fucked up it was. And I call my producer. I'm like, oh, I think I just talked shit about Nick. Should I call Sneeko and have him take it down? And then looked online and it was like already everywhere. I'm like,
yeah. All good. Hey, it's all water under the bridge now.
No, that's why I was glad we were able to laugh about it. And we don't hold grudges because you went off on me a few times too. But exactly, I hold zero resentment. And people kept trying to get us to keep fighting on both of our sides. That's when I realized you don't want to block all these people because they're trying to drive us. And some of them might even be bad actors. They might not even really be actors. They're really just trying to push me and you to keep fighting. Like that could be deliberate. Maybe not, because it's be that people like seeing a fight. But that's once I realized that, I'm like, okay, just from now on, I just block anyone.
Yeah.
We haven't fought since.
Yeah, there you go.
It worked. So yeah, anything best nothing really positive, it sounds like. I want to end with a positive note. I'm thinking I guess the next election, let's end with like midterms, I guess. I'll probably not vote. I would vote Democratic my first time just to say fuck you to them.
Yeah, that's the positive. We're Democrats now, and Democrats are going to win, so we get to be winners. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're going to win finally. We're going to get sick of winning.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually, we're going to be Democrats and win. Republican Party almost might be worse. I was making fun of Richard Spencer for because he was a Kamala. He was right. I need to call him and apologize.
Mm-hmm. In the end,
Kamala, I'm like, I was just teasing, like, come on, you're really. They call him like the white supremacist, and he was pushing for the black girl. She was just so awful. That was the alternative.
Yeah, she was horrible, but, two bad options. That's why I didn't vote. I just said, fuck it. Yeah. I don't like either of the options.
No, I couldn't see myself voting for Kamala. Yes, the midterms, the Democrats will probably take it. Nothing will happen. But I think, obviously we got to start pushing a bunch of anti-Israel Republicans. Do you think this is a realistic strategy that can make change? Obviously, it would take time over like 10 years, or do you think the country's too far gone? I guess it's got to be rebuilt at some point.
Well, I'll support Israel critical Republicans, but I really think that's just kind of eating around the crust. It's kind of we're working around the edges of it. We got to get to the center of it, which is we need to build a real political movement. We need donors. We need infiltrators. We just need elite human capital, the leaders of society, to get red pilled. Because I don't really believe in any kind of electoral solution. I don't believe in convincing the masses. It's sort of the public opinion is downstream from the institutions, from the elites, what is being promulgated by the media. The media is controlled by the money. The money is dictated by who controls the emergent technology. So it's like, by the time you get to what the fucking stupid normies think and what they'll vote for, it's like, the revolution has already happened. You know, the revolution happened many steps behind when the public changed their mind about an issue or whatever, when you saw it on TikTok. So I think we just need to kind of reorient our focus and think structurally, how are we going to create the movement that delivers the victory? So that's kind of what I've been focused on.
Yeah, no, we need radical change, and like obviously keep me updated in what you're doing. But when I was thinking about running, I called a campaign finance manager, and they wanted me to like throw $1 million, my own money, in right away to start it off. And like that's a good amount of money. So to even get started, to maybe win, you got to start to have $1 million to get your campaign going. It's like it's not. This explains why everyone's bought, and it's not just APAC. That's probably the biggest one, but the pharmaceutical companies, our government pretty much only works for corporate interest. I'm a capitalist, obviously, but I think there needs to be some checks and balances. I was just in Vietnam, communist country, and they're thriving. They have like an 8.6 GDP growth a year. We're at like 2.2. You know, things are getting up. No homeless. I'm not endorsing communism, but you're like, okay, maybe there's some few things that are positive.
Right, but even still, what can one representative do? We have Thomas Massey, and he's good, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get a huge contingent. I don't think it's not worthwhile. I think we should try to get a contingent of people that, you know, even if we have 5 or 10 or 15 congressmen or something, but I'm more interested in the deep state. I'm more interested in getting guys in the supply chains, you know, the acquisition process and the regulatory agencies. I want to get guys in Washington that become part of the permanent bureaucratic class. That seems to be where the seat of the power is, because the representatives come and go, and they're very fragile, and they're very subject to the changing political winds. If you want a more enduring and lasting influence, you kind of need to look deeper at where the power actually lies, and that's among the staffers, that's among the bureaucrats.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it right there. That's figured out. That's not an easy thing to infiltrate at all, but that might be the moves. And I think you tell your workers, right, to like infiltrate. Sometimes don't talk about it. That might be the move, to kind of slowly come in, infiltrate the system, and take it back. And it's gonna take time. Either the country's gonna collapse, or it'll be like 10 years. But we have to just stay hopeful. So yeah, thanks so much. Anything you want to add, or where can people find you? You're only on Rumble, right?
I'm only on Rumble. Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Rumble, and I'll be live later tonight in a few hours.
It's also impressive that you're able to stay so popular with just Rumble, and you didn't have that for a while, weren't you? Where were you? You had Cozy TV. You had to build. Did you have to build your own thing?
I did. Yeah, it was my own platform, and that was the only way I could stream. There was nothing else I was even allowed to stream on at that point.
Yeah, you had to literally build your own program. You had to find ways to make money, but you were dedicated, man. You put how many years? When did you start?
2017. So yeah, it's a long time, Jake. It's been a long time. It's been tough, but I'm hanging in there. I'm just like ready to retire. I'm like, man, I'm ready to pass the baton to the next class. I know I'm still young. I got to stay in it, but it's like,
you got to stay in a few more years.
Yeah.
You've done so much for waking people up, but that's done no good. That's the frustrating part.
Exactly. It's like, you try, you do these things, and it just seems like nothing ever changes, but that's life.
Well, like you and Keith Woods were the guys that really, I kind of knew, but watching you guys, because you made it in a way that didn't sound, I have Jewish friends and stuff. So when you first hear these things, and you're always taught anti-Semite's bad. So you're like, oh, that's fucked up. But I heard you guys speaking, pointing out little things, and then I would start looking up what you guys would say.